This video is in no way meant to attack the Day of Dragons community or any developers at Be Awesome Games. It is not my place to decide what games people enjoy or do not enjoy, and it is certainly not my place to attack anyone over this video game. I am, however, going to heavily criticize Be Awesome Games as a company, and I feel that I am entirely justified in doing so. Please be prepared for that, and enjoy the video. A little while ago, I made a silly little reaction video discussing the new Day of Dragons 1.0 release trailer. The entire purpose was to discuss exactly why it was an awful trailer, and why no one should buy Day of Dragons based off of what was shown. To give you the SparkNotes version, nothing in the trailer was in the game yet, and in my opinion, would most likely not be released with 1.0. Half a year later, I am still correct. Since 1.0, nothing substantial has been added to the game at all, and that's if you make the bold claim that anything substantial has been added to 1.0. There are currently 5 playable species in Day of Dragons. Not too shabby, right? Well, the game has been in the works for about half a decade now, so not really. And in actuality, there are only 4 playable dragons. You see, the smallest and lamest of the bunch, which just so happens to be a textureless pony, was a Kickstarter exclusive, meaning anyone who bought the game after said Kickstarter will have no hope of ever playing one. Yes, there's the whole nesting thing, but we'll get to that in a minute, don't you worry. So that's off the table. But at least we have 4. Oh wait, we don't, because one of those is a DLC. Yep, the game that made $500,000 with its Kickstarter alone has DLC playables already. The next dragon coming to the game, hell, the next update coming to the game, spare a few quality of life changes, is the Blitz Striker. A 4th grader could have created a better name for the damn thing, but either way, nothing could save the fact that it's another DLC. After 6 months, Day of Dragons' most significant update is going to be paid content, meaning that half the playable roster is not accessible to people who have only bought the base game. What the hell? At least they offer $5 emote packs to cheer you up, each sold separately of course. Luckily, subscribing is free, and at 10k I'm going to start my very own The Isle server, where I'll host a huge manhunt event. The winner will get an awesome prize, and will be featured in a video. But anyways, let's move on to the gameplay, or lack thereof. In Day of Dragons you can grow the same way we grew in Legacy Isle over 8 years ago. Day of Dragons is most certainly an innovative industry powerhouse and not a lazy dysfunctional cash grab. To improve on the system even further though, they prevented you from being able to fly. You know, the only reason you bought the game, until you're halfway grown. And you're also an incredibly slow, useless, and ugly version of your adult self. The abhorrent growth system aside, there's also the mechanics to talk about. Other than the bare-bones nesting and skin system, which is actually less complete than it was in the Legacy version for some reason, there's just about nothing to do. There's a single AI beetle that looks like a rock, is dumb as rocks, and gives you about as much nutrition as a rock too. It's fucking useless, and has nothing to the game. With the Blitz Striker should come the new Swamp Snapper, yet another brilliantly named animal. It will double the AI count, but since the goddamn DLC Skrill knockoff is the only proficient swimmer so far, you won't actually encounter this thing on a regular basis, much less have any hope of interacting with it. Peachy keen. But don't worry, the rest of the AI are coming soon! But hey, at least there's a pretty map to walk around and eventually fly around in, right? Well, yes and no. There certainly is a map, but it is not pretty. It's probably the most pathetic attempt at a paid Steam game map I have ever seen. There's nothing but poorly textured Unreal Engine assets, a shit ton of trees, and a few rocks and waterfalls scattered about. There's absolutely nothing interesting to look at whatsoever, and mind you, the map isn't all that big either. So what exactly did they do with the $500k in funding? Pocket it? Cause that's what I'm thinking. This is a mystical dragon game, and there's no elevation, no interesting biomes, and absolutely nothing mystical about it. How about some floating islands? Some cool crystal caves? Some magical forests? Nope. $500,000 and half a decade gets you this. But really guys, this is the next big thing. Let's take a step back for a second and recognize that there are some real human beings working on Day of Dragons. I'm not here to harass them. Hell, the only person I know to be untrustworthy is Jao himself, so all of these arguments are truly directed at him and no one else. However, the community at times can be problematic. Not only is there very clickbaity and misleading Day of Dragons content out there, but much of it is downright misleading to people who don't know anything about the game. Now, it is not my place to decide whether this is malicious or not, but either way, it is a problem that I feel must be addressed. Here are some direct quotes from a prominent Day of Dragons YouTuber. I will not keep their name in this video, as I am not interested in starting petty drama over a stupid dragon game. The game's graphics are out of this world. No, they're not. Look at any other survival sim out there, it's genuinely not comparable. You don't have to buy the DLC in order to play as the dragon. This is true on a technicality, but I have only ever seen YouTubers and devs say this. Never someone who is actually without the DLC, and therefore anyone with reliable experience regarding this topic. In order to be nested in, you must first have 2 people with the DLC agree to meet up and nest. Then, they must decide to invite you of all people into their nest, which is incredibly unlikely since the effort it takes means they are probably nesting in a friend or clan member. If you do by some miracle get picked, you then have to survive to adulthood without dying, which is already incredibly difficult to do with the larger dragons in the game. The DLCs are either flightless or tiny and neon. Not great odds if you ask me. And then if you die at any point, the cycle repeats. Not exactly a player-friendly system. It's almost as if it's designed that way on purpose, so Be Awesome Games can take more of your money. Day of Dragons is the best dragon game of all time. Hands down. Okay? Compared to what exactly? This argument gets stupider the more I think about it. It has a diverse selection of dragons that allow you to play with your own playstyle. Okay, to give them some credit, each dragon is fairly unique in combat, but the game is so incredibly bare bones, that's the only way they can be differentiated so far. And diverse selection? Really? There's 3 playable creatures for players that don't want to pay extra for their full-priced survival sim. And if they do pay, 4 isn't an improvement at all. That's not a diverse roster of dragons, that's a diverse would you rather. It angers me to my core to see people bending over backwards defending this crap heap of a game, and even going as far as recommending it to their gullible friends, just because it sees a sad excuse for an update twice a year. Stop justifying your waste of money and time. A game can still be a scam if it scrounges up some content every so often. It's just doing a slightly better job pretending it's not, and the simple fact is, it can afford to. Day of Dragons is at the very least a scummy failure, hobbling along on predatory DLCs and deceptive marketing, and at worst, well, let's hope it doesn't come to that. The most important takeaway here is that there are people who haven't wasted their money and time on Day of Dragons. Let's keep it that way. For those of you who simply don't care about the survival aspects and just want to chill with your friends as dragons, play modded Path of Titans. You'll enjoy it infinitely more, I promise you. You just don't know what you're missing out on because you've never been treated well by your shitty dream game. Anyways, thank you all so much for watching, and have a beautiful day, bro.